Every single day, choices shape life. Some decisions seem small: what to eat, what to wear, what route to take. Others are life-changing: whether to accept a job, move to a new place, or leave a relationship. Some choices come easily with no doubt or second-guessing. Others feel heavy, as if the wrong move could lead to regret or failure. The challenge is not just in making decisions, but in making the right ones. The mind often debates between logic and intuition, creating an internal battle. Logic is loud, full of facts, lists, and practical reasoning. It wants guarantees, security, and proof before taking action. Intuition is quieter, more subtle, a deep knowing that something is right or wrong, even when there's no evidence. Many struggle because they believe they must choose between these two forces. Either they rely only on logic, overanalyzing until they feel paralyzed, or they trust only intuition, hoping feelings alone will lead them to the right path. But true wisdom comes from balance. When the mind and heart work together, decisions become easier, clearer, and more aligned with the highest good. But what happens when the two seem to be pulling in different directions? The logical mind says one thing, but the gut feeling says another. This is where many get stuck. Fear enters, clouding judgment. Doubt creeps in, making even simple choices feel overwhelming. The key is not to suppress one voice in favor of the other, but to learn how to bring them into harmony. Aligning logic and intuition is not about making perfect decisions. There is no such thing. Life is fluid, and every choice brings lessons, growth, and new opportunities. The goal is to make decisions that feel right and make sense, decisions that are based on both wisdom and trust. When this alignment happens, life flows more effortlessly. There is less second-guessing, less regret, and more confidence in the path ahead. If decision-making has been a struggle, it's time to shift the approach. Instead of choosing one side, logic or intuition, bring them together. Learn to listen to both voices with equal respect. Recognize their strengths and limitations. When they work as partners, decision-making transforms from a stressful process into a natural and empowering experience. Every choice carries energy. When decisions are made in alignment, they bring a sense of peace and certainty. Even if challenges arise, there is an inner knowing that the choice was right. But when decisions are made out of fear, pressure, or internal conflict, they create stress, doubt, and resistance. When relying only on logic, decisions become rigid. Everything must be planned, calculated, and proven before taking action. This can lead to overthinking, hesitation, and missed opportunities. Some of the most fulfilling experiences in life come from choices that don't make perfect logical sense. Following a dream, pursuing a passion, taking a risk on love. When logic is the only guiding force, life can become predictable but uninspiring, structured but unfulfilling. On the other hand, relying only on intuition can create uncertainty. While intuition is powerful, it is not meant to work alone. Without logic to ground it, impulsive decisions may lead to unnecessary hardship. People who depend solely on feelings may find themselves in situations where reality does not match their expectations. They may take risks without considering consequences, follow excitement without stability, or avoid making practical plans. The true danger of misalignment is the feeling of stuckness. When the mind and heart are in conflict, decisions feel impossible. There is hesitation, procrastination, and an endless cycle of questioning. What if I make the wrong choice? What if I regret this later? What if I miss something important? This inner conflict drains energy. The longer a decision is delayed, the more overwhelming it feels. Fear builds, self-doubt grows, and clarity fades. Instead of trusting the ability to choose, anxiety takes over. Even after a decision is made, there is often second-guessing, wondering if another choice would have been better. But the most painful consequence of misalignment is a life that feels out of sync. Without balance between logic and intuition, there is no flow. Every step forward feels forced. Every opportunity brings worry, and every change feels like a risk rather than an adventure. Decisions should bring confidence, not confusion. When logic and intuition are not working together, life feels like a constant push and pull, never quite settling into ease. The good news is that this misalignment is not permanent. It is possible to bring both forces into harmony. The mind and heart are not enemies. They are meant to be partners. When they learn to communicate, decision-making becomes a process of clarity rather than stress. There is no need to fear mistakes because every choice, whether big or small, comes from a place of balance and trust. Logic is one of the most valuable tools we have. It is the part of the mind that organizes, categorizes, and evaluates. It helps solve problems, create strategies, and prepare for the future. Logic is essential for practical decision-making, paying bills, choosing a career, making plans. It is based on knowledge, past experiences, and cause and effect thinking. Logic is helpful because it provides structure. It allows choices to be made based on facts rather than emotions. It prevents reckless decisions and protects from unnecessary risks. Without logic, decisions would be chaotic, with no foundation to support them. But logic has its limitations. It can only work with what it knows. It does not see beyond the present moment or consider possibilities that do not have proof. If logic were the only guide, life would be predictable but limited. It would always rely on past patterns, never allowing for unexpected opportunities or new directions. Logic also tends to question feelings. It wants certainty, which intuition cannot always provide. This is why many people struggle with decisions that involve emotions. Logic may say, "This is the safe choice," while intuition whispers, "But it doesn't feel right." Many were raised to believe that logic should always be trusted over emotions. They were taught that facts matter more than feelings, that every choice should have a clear explanation. While this way of thinking provides security, it can also create limitations. Some of the best decisions in life do not have a logical explanation. Logic is a powerful guide, but it must be used wisely. It is meant to support decision-making, not control it. When logic is used as a tool rather than a rule, it creates clarity without limiting intuition. It provides stability without shutting out the voice of inner knowing. The goal is not to abandon logic, but to recognize when it is useful and when it becomes restrictive. It is essential for planning, organizing, and structuring life. But when making deeply personal or emotional decisions, logic alone is not enough. This is where intuition comes in, offering guidance that logic cannot see. When both are honored, when logic provides structure and intuition offers wisdom, decisions become effortless. There is no longer a battle between the mind and the heart. Instead, there is trust that every choice is both thoughtful and aligned with the deepest truth. There is a part of you that knows, a deep, quiet wisdom that does not need explanation. This is intuition. It is the inner voice that gently nudges, the gut feeling that something is right or wrong, the sudden insight that appears without logical reasoning. Intuition is not something rare or mystical. Everyone has it. It is the natural ability to sense what aligns with the highest good, even when there is no clear proof. Some call it instinct. Some call it inner guidance, and others call it the wisdom of the soul. No matter what name it goes by, intuition is always present, always offering direction. Unlike logic, which is based on past experiences, intuition comes from a place beyond time. It does not rely on facts, patterns, or reasoning. Instead, it taps into a deeper intelligence, one that understands possibilities beyond what the mind can calculate. Think about times when intuition has guided you. Maybe you had a strong feeling about a person before even speaking to them, and later, that feeling proved to be true. Maybe you made a decision based on a hunch, and it led you to exactly where you needed to be. Or perhaps you ignored your intuition once, only to realize later that it had been trying to protect or guide you. Intuition does not shout. It whispers. It does not demand attention. It invites trust. The challenge is not whether intuition exists, but whether it is being listened to. Many people have been conditioned to ignore their intuition, believing that only logic should be trusted. They have been taught to dismiss feelings that do not come with clear reasoning. Over time, this weakens the ability to recognize intuitive guidance. But intuition never truly disappears. It is always there, waiting to be acknowledged. The more it is trusted, the stronger it becomes. Like a muscle, intuition grows when it is used. Each time it is followed, it becomes easier to hear and recognize. Intuition speaks in many ways. It can be a physical sensation, like a tightness in the stomach when something feels off, or a sense of warmth when something feels right. It can appear as a sudden thought or an unexplainable knowing. Sometimes, intuition speaks through dreams, symbols, or repeated patterns in life. The key to strengthening intuition is to create space for it. In the rush of daily life, intuition can be drowned out by overthinking and distractions. But when the mind is quiet, during meditation, deep breathing, or moments of stillness, intuition becomes clearer. Trusting intuition does not mean ignoring logic. It means allowing intuition to be part of the decision-making process. When both logic and intuition work together, choices become more aligned, natural, and fulfilling. One of the biggest obstacles to intuition is fear. Fear and intuition can feel similar, but they come from very different places. Fear is loud, urgent, and full of worry. It is the voice that says, "What if this goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I regret this choice?" Fear thrives on doubt and insecurity. Intuition, on the other hand, is calm. It does not argue or create panic. It simply knows. Even when intuition warns of something, it does so with quiet certainty, not fear-driven anxiety. The problem is that fear often disguises itself as intuition. Many people believe they are listening to their intuition when they are actually responding to fear. They may feel a strong resistance to something, and assume it is an intuitive warning, when in reality, it is just fear trying to keep them in their comfort zone. For example, imagine someone who dreams of starting a new career. Their intuition might be telling them to go for it, to trust their abilities and take the leap. But then fear creeps in. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? What if I lose everything? Suddenly, the fear is so strong that it feels like intuition saying, "Don't do it." But this is not intuition. It is just fear keeping them stuck. So how can fear and intuition be distinguished? The answer lies in how each one feels. Fear is anxious, heavy, and stressful. It creates tension in the body. It is focused on worst-case scenarios and what could go wrong. Intuition, even when it warns against something, feels clear, strong, and neutral. It is not based on imagined fears, but on true inner knowing. One way to test whether a feeling is fear or intuition is to ask, if I were not afraid, what would I choose? If the answer is different from what fear is saying, then it is likely that fear is clouding the decision. Another way is to observe how the feeling changes over time. Fear often gets louder and more dramatic the longer it is focused on. It creates spirals of overthinking. Intuition, however, remains steady. It does not become exaggerated or desperate. It simply stays the same, waiting to be acknowledged. The best way to overcome fear is through trust. Trust that intuition knows what is best. Trust that even if a decision feels uncertain, it is leading to growth. Fear will always exist, but it does not have to control choices. When fear is released, intuition becomes clearer, and decision-making becomes easier. Many people struggle with decisions not because they lack intuition or logic, but because they carry limiting beliefs about decision-making itself. These beliefs, often formed in childhood, create unnecessary doubt and pressure. Some were taught that there is always a single right decision, and that making the wrong choice will lead to failure. This belief creates fear around every decision, making it feel as if one wrong step could ruin everything. But the truth is, there are many right choices. Every decision leads to new lessons, experiences, and opportunities. Even if a choice does not bring the expected result, it still brings growth. Others were raised to believe that logic should always overpower intuition. They were taught to base every decision on facts, numbers, and practicality. They learned to ignore their feelings, thinking that emotions are unreliable. As a result, they struggle to trust their inner wisdom, even when it is guiding them towards something truly fulfilling. On the other hand, some people were taught to rely only on intuition, avoiding logic altogether. They may have been told to follow their heart without considering reality. This can lead to impulsive decisions that are not well thought out. They may take risks without planning, hoping that intuition alone will handle the outcome. While intuition is powerful, it is not meant to work in isolation. To break free from these limiting beliefs, it is important to recognize that decision-making is a skill that can be developed. It is not about being right or wrong. It is about learning to listen to both logic and intuition in a way that feels balanced. One way to release limiting beliefs is to reframe them into empowering statements. Instead of thinking, "I have to make the perfect choice," shift to, "Every choice I make brings growth and learning." Instead of thinking, "I can't trust my intuition," shift to, "My intuition is always guiding me toward my highest good. Another method is to practice small decisions with trust. Instead of worrying about big life choices, start with smaller ones. Allow intuition to guide simple decisions, like choosing what to eat or what book to read. Notice how it feels to trust inner guidance without overthinking. Over time, this builds confidence in the decision-making process. Limiting beliefs around decision-making can create unnecessary stress, but they do not have to define reality. It is possible to shift into a mindset where decisions feel easier, more natural, and less overwhelming. The mind and heart are meant to work together. When they do, decision-making transforms into a process of ease, trust, and alignment. Decision-making is not just about choosing between options. It's about creating a life that flows with ease and purpose. When logic and intuition are in balance, decisions feel natural. There is no constant battle between overthinking and emotional impulsiveness. Instead, there is a deep sense of trust in one's own ability to choose wisely. The best way to bring logic and intuition into harmony is through practice. Every decision, no matter how small, is an opportunity to strengthen this balance. By following a few simple steps, decision-making becomes a process of confidence rather than confusion. Gather information. Before making a choice, use logic to understand the situation. Consider the facts, the potential outcomes, and the practical details. Look at what has worked in the past and what might be the most reasonable option moving forward. Listen to your feelings. Once the logical mind has done its work, shift the focus inward. How does each option feel? Does one path bring a sense of excitement or calm? Does another bring resistance or unease? Emotions are signals that provide valuable insight. Ask empowering questions. Instead of focusing on fear-based what-if questions, ask, what decision aligns with my highest good? What choice feels both logical and right in my heart? If I were not afraid, what would I choose? Trust and take action. Overthinking often leads to hesitation and doubt. Once both logic and intuition are aligned, trust the decision. Taking action is just as important as making the choice itself. Move forward with confidence, knowing that every decision leads to growth. Aligned decision-making is not about perfection. No one gets it right 100% of the time, but by practicing awareness and trust, decisions become easier and life becomes more fulfilling. The mind is constantly shaped by the thoughts it repeats. If someone tells themselves, "I am bad at making decisions," they will struggle with doubt every time they have to choose. But if they shift their thoughts to, "I trust myself to make wise choices," their confidence grows. Affirmations are a powerful way to train the mind to support balanced decision-making. By repeating positive statements, old patterns of doubt and fear can be replaced with trust and clarity. Here are some affirmations to use daily. I trust my mind and my intuition to guide me wisely. My decisions are clear, confident, and aligned with my highest good. I release fear and welcome clarity. I am always guided toward the best possible outcome. I allow wisdom to flow through me, and I trust in my choices. To strengthen these affirmations, speak them out loud in front of a mirror. Write them down and place them where they can be seen throughout the day. The more they are repeated, the more they become natural beliefs. Over time, decision-making becomes second nature, free from stress and self-doubt. Think back to a time when a decision was made that led to something truly wonderful. Maybe it was a career choice, a relationship, or an opportunity that seemed small at first, but turned into something life-changing. Most likely, both logic and intuition played a role. The mind may have considered practical details, while intuition provided a deeper sense of trust. Even if the decision wasn't entirely logical, it felt right. Now think about a time when a decision was made purely from fear or overthinking. Did it lead to regret or unnecessary struggle? Did it feel forced rather than natural? Often, when decisions come from a place of fear, they create resistance instead of ease. The key takeaway is that the best decisions are not just smart, they feel aligned. They are backed by both knowledge and inner wisdom. By reflecting on past choices, it becomes clear that the strongest decisions come when both logic and intuition work together. Decision-making is not a struggle, it is an opportunity. Every choice is a chance to step into alignment, to trust the process of life, and to shape a future filled with clarity and ease. The mind and intuition are not opposing forces. They are two parts of a whole. One provides structure, the other provides wisdom. Together, they create balance. Take a deep breath and place a hand over the heart. In this moment, affirm, I trust myself, I choose wisely, and all is well in my world. Every answer is already within. The path is clear. The power to choose wisely has always been there. It only needs to be recognized and embraced.